I grew up in Taiwan to parents who believed that discipline and being frugal were the keys to success in life. My mom took care of the discipline part, and maybe we'll do a video about that later. But my dad, who grew up really, really, really poor in Malaysia, was all about being frugal. And the funny thing is that we weren't actually broke, like, not even close. We just lived like we were broke. When I eventually came to the US to study and to work, I was introduced to credit cards. And it was a very exciting time for me because, how are you going to tell me how to live my life when you're halfway around the world, mom and dad? Unfortunately, old habits die hard, or not at all. So anytime I would try to buy something that I knew I couldn't afford and I put it on my credit card, I'd start feeling anxious. If I ignored this feeling and continued with my purchase, that feeling of anxiety would just get worse and worse to the point where I would dream about it. I would be thinking about it all day. Every time I used this thing, whatever it was, I'd be like, oh my God, you spent so much money on it. You couldn't afford it. And the only way for that anxiety to go away was for me to pay it off and for my credit card balance to be zero. And so even today, I still get these like anxious feelings when I see pending charges on my credit card statement. So, yes, massive anxiety is why I'm able to live in this city, in New York City. I have no debt, I have no loans, I have no mortgage, I have no car payment because the idea of owing people money, like large sums of money, makes me very, very uncomfortable. So, hi everyone, I'm Evie. Welcome to Cheap and Evie. I hope you enjoyed that little background about me and why this channel exists. Today, we're talking about the 10 things I'm willing to spend extra money on that do not give me crippling anxiety. Number one is floss. So I got this bag of floss picks just to put in my bag and to use it if I'm at work after lunch. I want to pick my teeth. These are the worst things in the world. I think this bag only cost me $3, but these things don't work. Once you start using them, especially get to the back teeth, this piece right here will just pop out. And so every time I floss with these, I end up using like 5 or 6 of them. It's just not worth it. Whereas this little thing of Oral B was like 6.50, and it's great. It works just fine. It doesn't fray, it doesn't leave little pieces of floss in your teeth, and it doesn't break. So spend the money, get the better floss. Number two is the bath towel. There is nothing ickier than getting out of the shower. You're drying yourself with the towel. You got your hair, you got your upper body, and now you go to dry your legs, and the towel is soaking wet. So you're not actually drying yourself, you're just rubbing yourself with this wet towel. It's so gross. I'm happy to spend the extra $3 or $5 for one of those really, really thick, really sturdy, high absorbency bath towels. Number three is cookware. When I was in college, I bought the cheapest pots and pans. We're talking from the dollar store cheap. And they would scratch, they would dent. I'm pretty sure I've eaten enough Teflon to give myself cancer. Then I got a cockatiel and I had to throw out all of my Teflon nonstick pans because the fumes can actually kill birds very easily. They're very toxic. And I switched over to stainless steel and cast iron. There is a little bit of a learning curve when you first start using stainless steel and cast iron, but once you get the hang of it, you will never look back. Today, I have a Le Creuset pot, a Le Creuset pan, and I have their tea kettle. And these three things are so durable. The tea kettle itself is 13 years old, and they're easy to clean. And I don't think I will have to buy pots and pans again for at least another 5 to 10 years. Number four, shoes. Living in New York City, I walk about 8,000 to 12,000 steps every day, just living my life, going to work, coming home, that kind of stuff. Does not include running, does not include exercise. So I need my shoes to be very durable. They need to be very comfortable. They need to hold up in all different types of weather and no blisters. So I invest quite a lot of money in various types of shoes for various occasions. These here are my everyday walking shoes. They are Zero brand barefoot shoes, kind of like Converse, but more comfortable. Also, Zero brand running shoes, a little bit more padded, water resistant. Zero brand ballet flats. These guys are great for a night out if there's a lot of walking involved. Zero brand sandals. This is for like beach days or really, really hot days, really hot, really humid days. These are not Zero brands. These are not barefoot shoes. These are my nice heels. And this is usually for nice events that are out of town where I can ride in a car. Winter boots, waterproof, fleece lined, barefoot boots. Not Zero brand. These are Balenka. These are like a European brand, super comfortable, and they have lasted multiple winters and they're still in really good shape. Finally, for the days in the wintertime when you actually have to walk through the puddles, these are Zero barefoot boots that are fully waterproof and also fleece lined. Very warm, very useful in the wintertime. I have flip flops. These are mostly for walking the dog because I can just kind of slip in and slip out of them pretty easily. Finally, and don't laugh at me, these are my clubbing shoes. These are not at all comfortable, but they're a size 8. I'm usually a size 7. And so I wear thick socks with them. These are really great if you're going to a concert or a club or a bar where there are a lot of people and they're going to step on your feet. And if you're wearing something like this, for example, you're going to get your toes mangled. But if you got these on, have a martini. Your toes will stop hurting. Number 5, clothes. I'm not a huge fashion person and my wardrobe is pretty basic, but it does really irk me to buy clothes that are uncomfortable to wear when you're in the real world. So think like a winter jacket that doesn't breathe, or underwear that's really itchy and doesn't hold up in the wash. So I spent about $400 on my winter coat, and it is 100% camel hair, camel wool, and it breathes. It's warm, and even if it's raining outside or sleeting or snowing, it's actually waterproof. And as far as underwear goes, cheap underwear is just absolutely awful. So Victoria's Secret has this deal where you can buy 5 pairs of underwear for $35. Think sometimes it's 7 pairs. So $5 to $7 for this really cheap pair of cotton panties that will start fraying and fading and losing elasticity almost immediately. It's just not worth it. And I think $7 is actually quite steep for something that is this poorly constructed. On the other hand, I'm very happy to give Uniqlo $10 for a pair of their seamless underwear because this thing holds up really well. It doesn't lose its elasticity and it lasts a really long time. I mean, not like decades because it's underwear, but it lasts long enough for underwear that it makes it worth it. Number 6, glasses. I've always had really bad eyes. And when I was 25, that was my first eye investment, as I like to call it. I got LASIK, and it was the best money I ever spent. Worked pretty well for about 15 years. And then I turned 40, and my eyes started to get old. So I needed some distance glasses for driving. And because this was just for driving, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go to this really cheap optometrist. I have insurance. And so after everything was said and done, I think I paid $15 for the frames and the lens. They were the worst glasses ever. They had a glare, but the glare was on the back side. I could barely use them for driving. So after a year of dealing with these things, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the optometrist, the good one, the expensive one. And I ended up paying with insurance $200 for lenses that were anti glare, they were anti fatigue, they were transition, and they were done right. So I didn't have this weird glare of whatever was behind me. Absolutely worth the money. I didn't have headaches anymore. And voila, I could see things. Number seven, health insurance. There are people on the internet that say it's okay to not have health insurance. I disagree. I think that your health is the single most valuable thing in your life. Your health is worth more than your investments, your savings. It's more important than your job because without your health, you can't even work. You can't be independent. You can't live the life that you want to live. And the crazy thing is that it can all go downhill really, really quickly. You don't need to be doing any kind of like dangerous activity. So, take me, for example. I have been fairly healthy my whole life. No big issues, no big illnesses. Last year, I herniated a disc in my neck, which is pretty standard and pretty common for someone who's in her 40s and rock climbs. But this was so painful, I ended up going to see a spine guy, and he did an MRI. And when the results came back, he freaked out because I have congenital spinal stenosis. So, this is a condition that I was born with, which I was completely unaware of. And the spinal canal is dangerously narrow. So, it's pressing on the spinal cord. And for me, the nerves on the outside of the spinal cord were dying. And I had no idea. I had no symptoms. This guy referred me to a surgeon, and the surgeon was like, well, you could spend the next 5 to 10 years just being very careful, or we could do surgery now. But he's like, eventually you're going to need surgery. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. And then I asked him, like, is the insurance company going to cover this? He's like, yeah, I'm going to show them your MRI. I'll send your MRI to them. There's no way they're going to say no. And he was right. I ended up only paying $2,750, which is basically the what was left of my deductible last year. I have a $5,000 deductible on my insurance plan. The surgery itself, without insurance, what I got in the mail, like the bill, was $275,000. It's mind blowing. So thank goodness my employer pays for health insurance for me. And so 6 weeks after the surgery, I was back rock climbing. 2 months after, I was snowboarding, and 9 months after, I was running a half marathon. So if you have to keep a job you don't absolutely love, you're just kind of like, meh, okay with, but you have health insurance and they pay for it, keep the job. Get a hobby, keep the job. If you're 1099, make sure you save money from your paycheck to pay for health insurance because you just never know what can happen. It doesn't have to be an accident, it doesn't have to be really anything. You could just be living your life, tweak something, and the next thing you know, you need neck surgery. Number eight, doggy daycare. Not all dogs need to go to daycare, but my dog is very social. She is a social butterfly. Unfortunately, she's also a shit eater. So when I used to take her to a cheaper daycare, they didn't supervise the dogs very well, and she would eat shit. And she got giardia twice. The medicine for giardia and the vet visits were very expensive. So after that, I'm much more willing to pay more for a good doggy daycare that will supervise her. Number 10, a good work environment. Humans are not meant to stare at a screen and sit for 8 to 10 hours every single day. Sitting is horrible for your hip flexors, and staring at a screen and looking down at a laptop is terrible for your eyes and for your neck. So, if you work from home, I would suggest buying a walking desk or a standing desk. If you have an actual office you go into, I would suggest an ergonomic chair or a kneeling chair. Both of those are really, really good for your lower back, or I should say, better for your lower back. And me personally, I work out of a WeWork. So I'm a little antsy and I can constantly walk around, but I also have invested in a wireless mouse, a wireless keyboard, and a laptop stand so that the monitor is raised up. I can look at the screen without bending my neck and still use the keyboard and the mouse. Keep in mind, these are just my preferences for what I want to spend extra money on. You have your priorities, you have your preferences. But if you find yourself with some extra cash now, later, or during tax time, it's not a bad idea to upgrade certain things in your life so that you could reduce, as we call it, the number of pain points in your life. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.